Analysis of President Alexander Stubbs' statement on a potential peace agreement for Ukraine. President Alexander Stubbs' statement that a future peace agreement for Ukraine may include unfair conditions stands as one of the most sober and realistic assessments of the Russia-Ukraine war offered by a European leader. Delivered during his New Year's address, the statement departs from idealistic rhetoric and instead confronts the uncomfortable realities of modern warfare, diplomacy, and power politics. At a moment when many political narratives emphasize moral clarity and absolute justice, Stubbs' words introduce nuance, restraint, and strategic honesty. His assessment reflects not pessimism, but realism grounded in history, geography, and Finland's unique experience with Russia. At its core, Stubbs' message forces audiences to confront a fundamental tension: the difference between what should happen and what can happen. Ukraine's struggle has rightly been framed by many Western leaders as a defense of sovereignty, democracy, and international law against aggression. However, Stubbs reminds us that wars rarely conclude with outcomes that perfectly reflect moral principles. Instead, they end through negotiations shaped by military realities, exhaustion, external pressure, and geopolitical constraints. His remarks challenge both policymakers and the public to prepare for a peace that may fall short of justice but still prevent further devastation. Peace as compromise rather than moral triumph. Stubbs' assertion that peace is always a compromise is not a political excuse nor a retreat from principle. It is a historical observation supported by centuries of conflict resolution. From the Peace of Westphalia to the Korean Armistice, negotiated settlements have almost always involved concessions. Even in wars where one side is clearly in the wrong, complete justice is rarely achieved through peace agreements alone. The goal of diplomacy is not moral perfection but stability. In the case of Ukraine, compromise is particularly sensitive because Ukraine did not initiate the conflict. Any suggestion that Ukraine may have to accept unfavorable terms risks appearing to legitimize aggression. However, Stubbs' point is not to justify Russia's actions, but to acknowledge the limits of what diplomacy can realistically achieve when confronting a nuclear-armed state with significant military and political leverage. This reality underscores a broader truth about international relations: power matters. International law, while essential, depends on enforcement mechanisms that are often constrained by political will and strategic risk. Stubbs' statement highlights the painful reality that peace agreements frequently reflect power balances more than legal or ethical ideals.